So we have the same glass.
It's that right there.
Neither one of us know what it is. This could be a lot of things. It's a lot of.
I still can't even comprehend.
So we have. So what does it look like when a beginner goes against a veteran in whiskey tasting? Well, about to find out. We are back with another episode of Beginner versus Vet. So again, this is Jordan. So he is not a newbie. He's been, kind of on his journey for a few months now. Over half the people that watch these videos are not even subscribed. So if you could, just real quick, hit the subscribe button. Please like, share, and comment. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching. See you on the video. All right, so here we go. So again, we have no idea what this is. And we're gonna play, slightly a little bit of a game. We'll go whether it's what type of whiskey it is.
Okay.
We'll do age, over or under. I like to do 5 years because everything is 4 to 5 years. Well, things are usually 4 to 6 years. So we're gonna go over or under 6 years.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go proof. Just keep it real simple. All right, so right off the bat, what are you getting?
Let's see. My first thought was like dark.
Dark?
For lack of better words.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's dark but airy. I don't know if that makes any sense. But
So describe that by like a food or a scenery, or like by dark, do you mean like a dark sweet or a dark char?
a dark char for me. That's what I would associate it, whether or not that's the right note.
Okay.
Dark, but I don't know, it doesn't. It seems lighter at the end, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Like it starts dark and then gets lighter.
Yes,
as I draw.
So categories we do obviously are going to be, color and viscosity. That's 1 and 2. We can forget about that. That's not for the. So nose, mouthfeel, palate, and finish. So I think the nose itself will have kind of a front, mid, and back palate.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So you're smelling something on the front, and then on the end of that long draw, you get something different. Staying with the nose for a good extended period of time will really help you. Also, side note, this is still lint while we're filming this video, so I will be spitting. I will hide that from you guys, but I'll get most of kind of what I need to get on this. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the taste. All right, so on the nose, I was getting something familiar, honestly. So I get this note a lot. It's like a very soft, sweet cinnamon honey.
Okay.
Sometimes that reminds me of turkey products because wild turkey, even though it's pretty high corn percentage, you almost get like a high rye nose sometimes. There's almost like a cinnamony baking spice nose.
Mm-hmm.
This also reminds me of, and I've only had this one time, Elmer T. Lee. It's a single barrel, it's a Buffalo Trace product, but I remember it having a very, very soft kind of nectar sweetness on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of that too. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a bourbon.
Okay.
You have any guesses on what type of whiskey it is?
I'm still trying to understand. You think after a year I'd know this already, but the differences of, like, I can understand terminology wise, but in terms of flavor profiles, scent, anything like that.
Like describing what you're smelling and tasting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I will say I do still struggle on the palate a lot. My palate is not as sensitive as my nose. I'm pretty good at describing things on the nose, but my palate is not as trained. Well, I'd say they obviously have the same training, but it's not as sensitive. I'm not as keen on the palate. So with the palate on this one, it does not match the nose for me as well. I don't think it's as sweet. I still get a little bit of that spice, but it's not the sweet spice. It's not cinnamons and nutmegs and cloves. It's more of just like a baking spice or all season.
Whenever you said baking spice, I don't know if I'm getting much cinnamon, but when you said baking spice, that clicked something for me.
More like a seasoned salt type thing.
Right.
So
right.
it's and you gotta specify when you're describing spice. So sometimes you will get just spice and there's not like a flavorful spice with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say baking spice, I mean like seasoned salt, like something that has flavor, but there's no sweetness to it.
Right. Okay. I see that.
Right. Sometimes there is spice and it's just hot and there's not much flavor to go with it. I don't want just one note. I want diversity and complexity in that note, if that makes sense.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, so after the sip, what are you getting on the nose now? Has that changed for you at all?
It definitely, I don't get that dark char like I mentioned before.
Okay.
It definitely, like I mentioned how it ended towards the end like lighter. Now that's kind of encompassed the whole.
So you think the whole thing is light? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that could have been, first drink of the day.
Sure. Okay, so nose, you're kind of going with a light, airy. Okay, give me sweet, spice, floral, char.
Not almost like a fresh spice.
Okay, so are we going more towards like herb?
I don't know if herb is the direction. I almost need like a sheet of like terminology, something like that one. It's like I may not know it in my head, but if I saw it, I'd be like, it's that right there.
Good point. Okay, so if you're a beginner, you need to be doing this. So I'm gonna get on Google, type in whiskey flavor wheel. Actually, I think he's done this before in one of our videos. And there's hundreds, right? Just find one that's not got stupid words on it, right? But what it'll do is it subdivides things into, so what we have on this one, it's like the small category would be like spicy, fruity, woody, cereal, peaty, floral, and this is probably more for Scotch, but like you have your big categories: sweet, spice, floral, herb, wood, right? And then each one of those categories, it kind of splinters off into, okay, if it's sweet, is it butterscotch, toffee, caramel, vanilla, sugar crystal? If it's wood, is it char? Is it a medium? Is it a toast? Things like that, right? Get on, I still use them because it helps. I'm like, damn, what is that? What is that? What is that? I see this, boom, I smell it. Or look up that bottle on whatever distillery website, and they will usually list, hey, it's XYZ. Now, sometimes that's just marketing, right? But a lot of times they'll give you some pretty good notes and you might be able to find that. So I gave an example with Scotch. For a long time when I smelled Scotch, it was like dirty oranges. And then someone threw the pineapple note into my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a floral pineapple. And I can't not smell that now. So use flavor wheels. And again, try to get something, this is more Scotch because there's not even a sweet note on this one.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But get something that's gonna be more bourbon specific if you're drinking bourbon. Type in a bourbon flavor wheel or a Scotch flavor wheel or a rye, you understand, okay? So looking at that,
yeah,
you find anything?
With the nose, floral.
Okay.
I'm getting more floral.
What kind of floral?
So the options this specific wheel has is fresh flowers, perfumed, leafy, or plant house. It's almost, for me, it's a mix between fresh flowers and leafy.
Okay. So I actually just went to Lowe's this morning, went to the garden center.
Yeah.
Do you smell that?
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
So imagine a sweet garden center. Now that's not the first thing that I'm smelling, but I can get that, right? And you can kind of take your mind in different directions, but.
Yeah, I feel like, personally, I've noticed, like, I can think of one thing, but then you could say a note and my brain would be like, oh, yep, that's it. And then I just take that pathway as far as it goes.
And in the beginning, you're gonna be able to be swayed really easily. Later on, again, as you start to smell things and recognize things, but no, maybe I can see what you're saying, but I really don't get that. So like Lowe's or Home Depot Garden Center, honestly, I get more of like, it's like when they're watering everything, like the fresh water smell.
Right.
But sweet, but I still get my sweet cinnamon, my sweet honey. I still get all that.
I could see the honey. The cinnamon I'm still searching for, but.
What kind of whiskey do you think this is? And this could be a lot of things. There's a lot of things in that drawer.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of bourbon, but.
I'm gonna say bourbon, but I'm gonna say it's less than 6 years.
Okay, so bourbon, less than 6 years, and then proof.
Proof, we're not over 100 in my opinion.
Okay. Now this is gonna be a little harder for me on the proof because I'm not actually drinking it.
Right.
But I would agree. I'm gonna say 105 on the proof.
Okay.
I'm gonna say over 6 years old because I get a little bit more sweetness. I don't taste any youth on this or smell any youth on this. I said bourbon.
Yeah.
I said bourbon. Now I would go high rye bourbon, to be honest. I would go something in the 20 to 30% range of rye easily. but I'm still gonna say bourbon.
I'll say the palate has a lot more spice like ryes have. So I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. But that's a really pleasant nose. So let's rank it too. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give that a, the nose is really good. I'm gonna give that a 78. 78. Not 79. I'll give it a 79.
79. I love the nose, but like you said earlier, that doesn't transfer over to the palate for me.
Yeah, that's where it's lacking.
I get a lot more spice on the palate that I don't get in the nose. So I'm not the biggest fan of spice. Like I hate hot sauces. I hate all that stuff. So it's gonna be a bit lower for me, but still not a bad drink. I would say 72.
72. Okay.
Yeah, still good.
All right. So we have, High West. It's a Boo Rye. So it's a blend of a rye and a bourbon. 25, a 30. You were really good on the proof. It's 92 proof.
92.
It is a minimum of 10 years old. And it is a blend of, it's a blend of MGP 95.5 and then some of High West own stuff, which is 80-20. Probably some Bardstown and MGP bourbons in there. This has the jackalope on it. It's a High West brand. I think it's overpriced for sure. I really want to say this was almost a $200 or maybe more bottle for 92 proof. Nose was great. It really was. That's everything you kind of want in a high rye nose.
Now you got the age, like you guessed that correctly in terms of over 6. You said you didn't taste any youth. What would that?
So, well, honestly, I almost went back on that because I did taste, it did taste like there was a possibility of youth because again, I didn't get a lot of flavor and richness and caramel, which you would get on a barrel influenced whiskey, right?
Right.
So the longer it's in a barrel, the more it's getting depth, sugars and chars and all those lactones that are going into it. And I didn't taste much of that, but I smelled a lot of it. So I would never smell something that sweet and rich and complex and say, oh, that's young.
Right.
Okay. Now it could be, but usually if it's going to have those type of notes on it, it's going to be older. That's why I was like, that's got to be over 6 years. But the palate was definitely lacking. Cool bottle. I like High West. I think they do a lot of good stuff. I have a lot of their bottles. I'm gonna go down to 78. You said 72.
I think I'll stay with that.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, y'all. See you in the next one.